Hello and welcome to my video. Um, so today the topic is Bupropion. The topic is Wellbutrin, which is a antidepressant medication used for I think specifically for major depressive disorder. Um, my intention with this is to just kind of share my experience with how what my thoughts were kind of leading up to this and to taking the medication, and what my experiences, like physical actual experience, has been with the medication so far. And I want to continue um to journal this as I go, to help people who may be considering um taking this medication in order to assist them, right? So just to start off, a little bit about myself. I'm 31 years old. I am a military veteran. I am disabled veteran technically. And I live in California, so financially it's a little rough, but and yeah, black male, obviously. So what ended up making me decide to finally take this medication is finally being able to recognize and acknowledge the patterns which were playing out in my life, right? Which were in me, right? Things that I was actively kind of doing in my life that was destructive, when I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was doing a good thing, but I was causing, a lot of damage to myself and others. And I decided that, my emotions were something that I needed a firmer grip on, because I had been trying to manage this on my own for years, because I someone that I wasn't raised to really trust any kind of anything really. I wasn't raised to trust, governments or, peoples or anything like that. Everything I was raised was supposed to be natural, right? So from the earth. A lot of Christian values, a lot of things of that nature. So, things like prescriptions and stuff, I've always been like shy of that. But, I reached a point where I've been trying to manage and do these things on my own and use natural kind of solutions. However, just me understanding myself, the time and place, and seeing that I've been failing in a lot of my relationships, and not just intimate relationships, friendships, family members too, right? Everybody, all my relationships have been kind of affected and impacted by this inability for me to regulate my emotions. And so, I finally decided to take the Wellbutrin, and yeah, that's what finally got me over the shyness. Because I think one fear that may, and this may get in the way for a lot of folks that might be considering treatment, is this fear that the medication is going to change you, or this fear that the medication is going to somehow like warp your brain or something like that, But I mean, I feel like I've shifted my perspective over from worrying so much about that, because it might, there's, of course, there's truth to that, right? You're using pills and stuff that's going to mess with the chemistry in your brain. Eventually it could have a lasting impact, right? But shifting my perspective over from looking at the anxiety of it and just thinking of it as like I've seen the damage that's been done in my life, and I want to get some level of control back. I don't want to just be a victim to my own emotions anymore. I want to be someone that is functional. I want to be someone that is healthy. I want to be someone that doesn't have these issues. And so this is a solution, right? Taking medications is a solution for some of us, right? Some of us can just use holistic, and some of us need to try actual, uh, industrial grade medication. However you wanted to define it, right? Another thing, side effects, things like dizziness, trouble sleeping, sore throat, constipation, headache, dry mouth. I've even read a little bit about seizures and worse irritability, worse stress. All that stuff is just scary stuff, right? But with it, just like with anything, you have to take risks sometimes in order to figure out what the right path is for you, right? And so for me, and this is just my path, right? It's nothing wrong with it. I don't have to worry about you know whether or not it's going to change me, because I need to change. I need to change. So I need to figure out, that's pretty much it. Is I think what I want to hammer in on is mentality. For any folks that's considering getting on medication, or your mentality is going to impact your experience, right? And so what that can look like sometimes is you could take the medication, and you might not give it enough time, but because you're telling yourself, oh man, I feel weird, oh no, like I'm scared, you give into the anxiety, then you're actively working against what you're trying to solve, right? You have to work with the medication. You have to have that positive mentality of, okay, I'm putting this stuff behind me now, like instead of fighting against it. And that will help. That's something I will advise anybody that is considering medication, is really lock in on the mentality that putting anxieties and fear behind you, and more thinking about being constructive and working towards something better, right? Because you don't want what you had anymore. You don't want to deal with the circumstances that you've been dealing with anymore, right? So anybody that's considering medication, I would say, really, just that mentality is so important. I think so now I guess I could talk about how the medication has affected me, right? So far I took it at 2 p.m. because that's when I went to the mail, and I was able to find the medication, because I had been waiting for it to be shipped to me, and I finally got it today. Took it around 2 p.m. It's been about an hour or so, and I'm feeling fine. My head is actually feeling maybe even a little bit clearer. I felt myself feeling more confident. One of the things that I've been struggling with my anxiety is it can really take away your own self-confidence, because you're so ungrounded, because you're so like suspended by the anxiety. Anxiety can feel like, I'm sure it can feel like many things for many folks, but for me, I get a feeling of like isolation, maybe even like suffocation a little bit. It's a bad feeling, and I guess what was I saying that to say? I'm saying that to say that basically you don't want to deal with that. You don't want to deal with the, hold on, I fucked up. Sorry, I did get a little bit sidetracked there, but yeah, I was feeling a little bit more confident. You know, it was taking a little bit of the edge off of the anxiety and things like that. So far, I'm hoping. You know, I've heard that over time, um, that the effect can start to feel different. Um, the longer you take it, and so that's why I want to journal everything to really give people a clear picture of how this affects and impacts one physically, mentally, emotionally, right? Um, and so yeah, so far day one, I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling good, right? So we'll continue down the weeks and the months to log on how I feel. I'll probably do one like I'll try to do weekly because I feel like daily is probably going to be too much. So weekly and then monthly updates, and then hopefully I can help some folks out there. If you have any questions of me, any more questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. Just, put them in the comments, whatever. Send me an email, uh, send me a DM, whatever. I'm open. I want to help people out. So, uh, if you're needing any kind of just what do you call it? Just consolation, you know. Feel free to contact me, message me. And lastly, I just want to say, anybody dealing with stuff right now, especially in these times, I just want you to know that you are deserving of love. You're a great individual, despite your mistakes, despite the things that you've done, where you might not, necessarily be able to forgive yourself, or you might wrestle with, but other people have forgiven you, but you just can't, forgive yourself. Just understand, we all make mistakes. We're all humans. We're all deserving of love. And in order to heal, you have to learn how to love yourself. How can you love properly? How can you, do any of that if you don't even do that for yourself, right? If you have no reference, no blueprint, then it's difficult, So I advise everybody, give yourself that same love, give yourself that same understanding of like, we're in need of healing, and everybody has a different, that might look different for different folks, right? So just be understanding of yourself, give yourself that love, give yourself the time, give yourself that intention, and understand you are worth it, you deserve it. Okay? And hopefully moving forward, we'll be able to talk more. Thank you for watching the video. Have a great rest of your day.